As the old expression goes, Washington is Hollywood for ugly people. If you want to see exactly what I'm talking about, I'm going to append and include in this podcast a clip on none other than PBS of the White House Correspondents' Dinner that was held last Saturday night. I've been to White House Correspondents' Dinners. There's a long story about that in my book, Whores, Why and How I Came to Fight the Establishment. They're self-congratulatory. It's the people of Washington and the press and in the political sphere thinking that they're at the Academy Awards. It's like they're superior to everybody else. You got to watch this, but I want you to pay particular attention to not just the arrogance of the Washington, D.C. establishment, which gives rise, of course, to the corruption we see today in the federal courts and elsewhere, but I want you to look at the speech of so-called President Joe Biden. Disrespectful. He can barely read it on the teleprompter, trashing President Trump. The irony is that the things that he trashes Trump for, he's done himself. But most particularly at the end, when he says world leaders come to him and tell him that it's so important for him to win the election to prevent the fall of democracy in the United States, because then it's going to fall in foreign countries. Well, if it falls in foreign countries, it's the fault of those foreign countries. But the fact is, the American people are on their last legs. We're on our knees. We're on our back. We're gasping for air. In 3.5 years, this man has literally brought this country to the end of near destruction. He's destroyed it with his brand of socialism, borderline communism, which is, of course, behind the scenes in the White House. These are Obama people who are running this country, the most radical leftists that you can find. And they have all but destroyed the great country that our founders started in 1776. And of course, then he gets into January 6th, peaceful protesters, talks about the end of democracy. Well, he's trying to end democracy by using his Justice Department and FBI as a Gestapo to quell all dissent, to lock up anyone who was present on January 6th, whether they were peaceful or not, doesn't matter. And the overwhelming majority were peaceful. This is the action of a totalitarian state. We've seen it in the Soviet Union. We see it now in Russia. We've seen it in the Islamic Republic of Iran. We've seen it in North Korea, and we've seen it in Venezuela and in Cuba. This technique of trying to keep people from speaking, of preventing them from speaking, is coupled with mass surveillance of the American people, which I enjoined twice in 2014, only to have the government come back and do it again, if you want to use the term government loosely, the deep state. These people support Biden because they don't want someone that will oppose them. They want someone that will roll over, that they can continue to make money and exert power. It goes hand in hand. Slush funds of the CIA. And of course, overwhelming majority of experts believe that the CIA was the entity that killed John F. Kennedy, our great president in the 1960s. And now, of course, Biden won't even give Secret Service protection to Bobby Kennedy Jr., who's running against him. Tell you something? He wants Bobby Kennedy killed, obviously, because he's taking votes away from him. Unbelievable that this man does not deserve Secret Service protection after his uncle and father were killed, sadly, by individuals, whether it was the CIA or potential terrorists who didn't like the views of Bobby Kennedy. So this is my message for today. I want you to watch the video of the White House Correspondents' Dinner. It shows you why we have the problems we have today, why the country's going down the tubes. All of these people high-fiving themselves, thinking that they're somehow like the Hollywood elite at the Academy Awards, could care less about the American people. I've said this before. The French Revolution resulted after King Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette, his so-called queen, said, "Après moi le déluge," after me, the flood. After me, I could care less what's going to happen to France. And you can see that in this video. So go to freedomwatchusa.org because we're fighting against this. We are your real Justice Department. We represent you, the people, not the beautiful so-called people of DC, who in fact are the ugly people of Hollywood, envious of Hollywood, but in fact, much like them, very similar, hypocritical, ultra-left, and people who could care less about you or your loved ones. We need your help. We need to get bigger. We need more contributions to hire more lawyers, more paralegals, more office space. So please go there and get my book. It Takes a Counter-Revolution, Wake Up America, but it's not enough to read it. Join us at our Justice League at freedomwatchusa.org and act now before it's too late for you and your loved ones. Thank you for listening to me. Remember, the Father and Son will only help us if we help ourselves. I'll be back tomorrow with another special podcast.